The Aurora Dynamics Gala was a chandeliered peacock parade. Champagne, photo ops, and egos broader than the ballroom. I kept to the margin with a 30-year scotch, playing my usual role. Marissa's quiet husband. She glided from exec to exec, in a sapphire dress, smiling like she was born under spotlights. Then Vincent Drake arrived. 6'2" of hair product and entitlement, Aurora's CEO carved a wake through the crowd. He beelined for Marissa, kissed her cheek as if I were a coat rack, then finally turned to me with a predator's grin. "Ah, the nobody husband," he said, loud enough for half the room. "Living on handouts? Spineless, penniless, forgettable?" People laughed. My wife laughed. I didn't. I stepped close enough for him to smell my scotch. "If I were you," I said, calm as January, "I'd check my stock price." The smirk flickered. Color drained. I set my glass on a passing tray and walked out. Outside, the Chicago wind slapped the heat out of me. Heels clicked after me. Marissa, breathless, hair whipped loose. "What did that mean?" she demanded. "Stock price? What did you do?" "You laughed," I said. "That's what I saw." She started to explain, then stopped. The truth sat between us in the cold. "You think you know who you married?" I said. "You don't." I pulled out my phone and tilted the screen. Even under street light, the after-hours ticker for Aurora was dipping like a bad heartbeat. Her face went pale. "What did you do?" What I should have done 3 years ago. I left her on the curb with more questions than answers and went home. Our house looked like any other Lincoln Park colonial. Pretty, unassuming, safe. The most expensive thing in it lived 20 feet below the yoga mat. Downstairs, a bookcase unlatched with a press on barbarians at the gate. The steel door. Behind it recognized my palm and slid open to a room of humming servers and 6 curved monitors bleeding market data. Not a man cave. A command center. I pulled the folder labeled Aurora. Final phase, and called Naomi Price, the only lawyer I trusted with my real life. "We're done waiting," I said when she answered. He handed me the reason in front of half the industry. "How? Public?" she asked, already smiling in the way only predators do. Ballroom, media, board members. "He kissed my wife for the cameras and called me a nobody." "Understood," she said. "SEC filings Monday. Audit team in place. Enjoy your weekend." I hung up and opened the drawer with my favorite number, 93.2%. The percentage of Aurora. Dynamics quietly accumulated through 47 shell companies in 12 jurisdictions. Vincent thought he ran a kingdom. The deed was in my basement. At 7:45 Monday morning, Naomi and a squad of auditors met me on the executive floor. Vincent stepped off his private elevator at 8 on the dot and stalled when he saw us standing by his office. "What is this?" he snapped. Naomi's voice was silk over steel. "Naomi Price. I represent the majority shareholder of Aurora Dynamics," he laughed. "I am the majority shareholder." "Not anymore." She set a fat folder on his desk. "Over the last 3 years, my client acquired 93.2% of outstanding shares through compliant entities. Disclosures were filed. You didn't read them." His gaze ricocheted between us. "Who?" I stepped forward. "The nobody husband." Something in him caved. Naomi slid termination papers across the desk. "Friday's conduct, kissing an employee's spouse at a company event, meets the standard for removal due to reputational harm. Sign or we litigate, and we audit everything." He signed with a shaking hand. Security walked him out. The building exhaled. That night, Marissa didn't wait for me to come downstairs. "You fired my boss," she said, pacing the living room. "Everyone's saying I knew, that I'm part of some husband takes over wife's company conspiracy, and I find out from a company-wide email?" I poured bourbon and waited until the first wave burned off. "You want truth? Here it is. I never lied. I just didn't correct the picture you preferred." What picture? That you married a man who needed your paycheck. Her laugh was brittle. You haven't worked in 2 years. You sit in the basement, managing roughly $800 million, I said. Closer to $1.2 billion, including real estate and private stakes. I sold my first company to Google 6 months before we married. I kept it quiet because I wanted to be loved as a person, not a balance sheet. She sat down hard. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted a real marriage, I said. And because being underestimated is useful. People ignore the quiet guy in the corner. They confide in him. They mock him. I met her eyes. Some even laugh at him. Tears gathered. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know what you thought. I set my glass down. The company is mine. It can be ours, if you can love the man who actually lives here. I went back downstairs to work. The first decision I made was the best. I promoted Clara Hu, a brilliant engineer Vincent had buried to keep from being outshined. In 3 weeks, she stabilized Aurora's AI roadmap, replaced golf course vendors with competent ones, lifted revenue 18%, and raised our Glassdoor rating from 2.8 to 4.6. What about marketing? I asked. Clara's mouth twitched. Marissa's team assumed they'd be protected or purged. I told them neither would happen. Performance only. She slid analytics across my desk. Her campaigns? Efficient, smart. She cut spend by 30% and doubled engagement. Promote her to director. Make it merit clean, I said. Board vote, documentation, no shortcuts. We did it by the book. It still made headlines. Results drowned. The noise. If Aurora was the machine, the Caldwell Foundation was the heart. In a reclaimed brick warehouse far from downtown, we taught kids to code, mentored them into internships, and funded scholarships that didn't require an essay about overcoming adversity to deserve a chance. Marcus Washington, our director, pulled me aside one afternoon. We need to talk volunteer fit. Who? Marissa. I braced for trouble. She's good, he said, almost annoyed. Listens. Stays late. Yesterday, a student got into UIC. His dad walked out. She sat with him 2 hours and didn't try to fix it. Just held space. The kids trust her. That night, I watched her kneel beside a 13-year-old from Little Village, switching between English and Spanish as they debugged CSS for a cleaning business website. She was patient, present, real. Why are you here? I asked when the room emptied. Because it matters, she said. Because these kids make everything else feel small. She started showing up every Tuesday and Thursday, then Saturdays too, when our backyard became a mini-lab of borrowed laptops and stubborn code. 3 months after the coup, the same Grand Solace ballroom hosted something that actually felt like celebration. Clara spoke honestly about rebuilding, then waved me up. 3 months ago, I said, fear ran this company. Today we reward work, not politics. I didn't do that alone. You did. I found Marissa in the second row. She was crying in a way that looked like pride. When a reporter later asked about her promotion, I didn't flinch. We measured outcomes. She delivered. If that's nepotism, it's unusually productive. 6 months in, our Saturdays looked like this. Grills smoking, laptops open, kids from Pilsen and Little Village and Humboldt Park shipping their first working apps. Emma Rodriguez whooped when her calculator compiled. Her little sister, Sophia, was building a math game and swearing at JavaScript like a pro. Marcus sat beside me. Scholarship applications exploded. 2,000 this year. We can fund 300. Marissa wants to stretch impact with mentorships, pair recipients with industry pros. Also, she's courting Apple, Google, Microsoft for internship pipelines. When was she going to tell me? When it was real, he said, grinning. That evening, after the last laptop clicked shut, I sat with her on the patio. Are we roommates with a foundation, I asked, or a marriage with problems? Slow, she said. No grand gestures, Just slow. Slow works, I said. And it did. We rebuilt like careful engineers, footings first, then trusses, then roadbed. No shortcuts, no lying about load limits. A year later, the skyline outside my office glowed gold. Aurora had 4 record quarters, Clara was permanently CEO, and our internship program placed dozens of foundation students in roles that changed families, not just resumes. Tommy Rodriguez, UIC 3.8 GPA, came by to thank me for a SpaceX recommendation he'd earned without favors. Sophia bounced in our backyard when her game finally ran. Marissa hugged her like victory itself. Our marriage wasn't shiny, it was honest. The hurt from that ballroom scarred but stopped bleeding. We ate dinners together, argued fairly, apologized. Fast. She ran corporate partnerships for the foundation with a zeal that turned executives into allies and skeptics into donors. She still did marketing brilliantly. I still preferred corners to spotlights. One night, she looked up from a call with Microsoft about expanding internships. "You know," she said, "I'm glad you didn't let me keep my illusion of you." "I'm glad you didn't keep your illusion of yourself," I said. She smiled, warm, unpracticed. The smile from before ambition taught us bad habits. People still tell the story of how a nobody husband walked out of a gala and toppled a king. They missed the better part. We rebuilt something worth ruling. I learned that power isn't the loudest voice in the room. It's the person who can change the room. Sometimes that person is the quiet one in the corner, watching, counting, waiting. Sometimes she's at a picnic table teaching a 9-year-old to debug a loop. Vincent Drake taught me what arrogance looks like. Clara taught me what leadership is. The kids taught me why any of this matters. And Marissa taught me that people can be wrong about you, even when you're married to them and sty.